Hey Misfits, Tonicraft here. Okay, so today we're going to play with some Sculpey clay molds in the bezel and cabochon variety. So the way these work is that this one is the frames, the bezels, and then these are what goes inside the frames or bezels, okay? So these all fit into each other, and you can see I tried an experiment on one of them. I actually tried using resin in these, but today I want to do clay, and I've actually never used these with clay, so I'm excited. So let's get started. All right, so these are the molds. You can see they're flexible. One is thicker than the other, but they're both flexible. And the one with the one that's a bezel has sort of a frame, a cutout around the shape. And these are just the shape. And other tools I may be using, I have a clay extruder, which we can make snakes with to go in those bezel frames. I have clay cutters. These are my brand new, very sharp blades. Roller. I will be using my Makin's Professional Ultimate Clay Machine to roll out my clay. All right, so I've got my big ugly bucket of clay here, so I'm just gonna take out a couple of colors. All right, so you can see that I use a variety of clays. Fimo, Sculpey, Souffle. This one's a Fimo Soft. My favorite brand is Sculpey. I really like this Sculpey Souffle. And really the only reason I buy different brands is because they won't have all the colors. Okay, so I think what I want to do is I want to do a bezel in one of my metal clays, and then a cabochon in maybe a marbled clay. Let's start by reconditioning some of this clay. I'm actually going to mix these together. Okay, so that mixed together to make just sort of a nice gold. So I'll put that to the side. And then let's make a marbled insert. So I'm gonna use a little bit of that pink, a little bit of this, some of this lighter color. This sort of rose gold, which is nice. So I'm actually just going to warm this up in my hands first. Which my hands aren't very warm, this might take a while. And this is basically hand conditioning clay. So you'll want to do this before you stick it in your clay machine, so that it doesn't crumble and fall apart. And okay, so I've got a nice little ball there. Starting to warm up. Just gonna flatten it a little bit before we stick it in the clay roller. All right, now I don't want to roll this too much because what I'm looking for is the marbled effect, right? So we've got a nice little base here, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add in a couple little sort of highlights. I'm just using one of my cutters here. Go like that. All right, so now we have sort of a bit of a slab, and what I'm going to do is one more time, I am actually going to put this into a ball, some sort. I'm gonna just mess it up here. Going to, now you can see we've got a pretty good swirl going on in there. And now we're just going to put that to the side. And now this is the color that we're going to use for our bezel frame, right? So what we need to do is make a snake. So to make a snake, we are going to crumble this one up too, now that it's nice and conditioned and flat. And we're just going to make that into a nice squishy ball, and we're going to try using our extruder. Just making a little sort of tube to fit in there. We're going to drop it in, close that up. Okay, and now we're going to extrude. Here it comes, you can see it. It's done. All right, and that is it. We're going to take our snake, and we are basically going to push it in to the bezel. I'm going to see how much I need first. Get that correct measurement there. Snip off the rest of the snake. So there's my snake tube. We're going to put it here, and we are going to squish it in. Fill in the rest of this guy. I'm just using my roller to really get it in there. Okay, now we're going to use our straight blade. So now let's work on our marbled insert. So I'm going to take this ball. I think we should cut it in half. Hope for the best. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. So now what we need, flatten this out a little bit. Now we're going to take this, and this is the side facing down, right? Because when it comes out, that's going to be the rounded side. So we want to flip it, put it down like this. Okay. And then basically we're just going to fill it in and cut it off. Okay, so now we're going to pop these in the oven. And every clay has instructions on how to do this. Since I use a mix of clay, I've come up with sort of my own conclusions about what to do. I usually go about 275 for 25 minutes on my first round. All right, so I just pulled these out of the oven. I let them cool for a little while so that they would get hard. Cooling clay is part of the curing process. So we're going to that out. Flip that out. All right, and these are cool enough. Let's see if I can get this camera to focus on these. So they both came out really well shape-wise. So let's put a coat of satin glaze on them to bring out those colors. And this is just a Sculpey satin glaze, and I'm just rolling it a little bit to mix it. And whenever you use a metallic clay or a transparent clay, you'll usually want to throw on a top coat because it really makes the variations in the clay stand out. Okay, so we have our cabochon and our bezeled frame. So these two should fit right into each other. And they do, yay! So now you could do anything with this. You could turn this into a necklace by putting a bail on the back. You could wire wrap this. You could turn it into a giant ring. If you made 2 of these, you could make giant earrings. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with cabochons, and this mold set is perfect for making super easy, beautiful cabochons that you can either make or sell. Now, once I decided what I was going to do with these, I would glue the cabochon down into the bezel. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on how to use these Sculpey bezel and cabochon molds with polymer clay. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you could do that, it would be fantastic. And if you already are subscribed, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate every single view and every single one of you. If you want to see nice pictures of the stuff I make on my videos, head over to my Instagram. It's also tonicraftshow. Toni with an I, craft show. You can find me everywhere with that. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.